Now, we all know the people at the top of the leaderboard nowadays. Elol, Darn Socks, Just Some Noob, Fragile Silence. But do you know who was on the leaderboard in the past? In this video, I will show you the entire history of the Beastform leaderboard. Now, starting at the very beginning, Beastform was made in March of 2018. Now, I couldn't really find who was at the top of the leaderboard for the first few months of the game, but after a few months, a player named SD secured the top spot, and later made it 100 billion honey. Now, SD held the top spot on the leaderboard for a very long time, and her next milestone was at 200 billion honey a few weeks later. And the last milestone SD got at number 1 was 1 trillion honey. And then finally, after 11 months of SD being at the top spot, a player named Gummadon surpassed her. And then literally a few hours later, on the same day, Zlib surpassed Gummadon, and then about 4 days later, on May 15th, 2019, Gummadon passed Lib once again. And then not much happened for a few months, but then, once again, on September 13th, 2019, Gummadon made a total of 10 trillion honey, and a game-wide message appeared in the game for everyone to see so they could congratulate him. Once again, nothing happened for a few months, but then on the 9th of January 2020, Zlib surpassed Gummadon once again, and then from there it was just like a lot of switching between Zlib and Gummadon, where Gummadon once again passed Zlib on February 1st, and then Gummadon went on to make 50 trillion honey. However, the next person to pass Gummadon was actually a player named Meganeko YouTube, and Gummadon was never on the top spot of the leaderboard again.
Oh, there we go. We got it on camera. Beautiful.
So not much happened for around 3 months, but then on June 13th, 2020, a bunch of stuff happened right in a row. So there was like 4 days of leaderboard changes. I couldn't find a picture for everyone, but basically what happened is on the first day, a player named Gohola surpassed Meganeko YouTube. The next day, Mr. Mosquito, you'll start to recognize some of these names if you haven't already, surpassed Gohola after they held the leaderboard for just 1 day. Then Gohola surpassed Mr. Mosquito again, and then Mr. Mosquito surpassed Gohola once again. Then Mr. Mosquito made a total of 100 trillion honey, which is crazy, and another message appeared game-wide to congratulate him. I'll show it on the screen right now. And then Mr. Mosquito held the top spot for a very long time. On November 14th, 2020, he made 500 trillion honey. And then after that, about a month later, well, I assume you know what's coming. So yeah, as I said, Elol took Mr. Mosquito around a month later after he made 500 trillion honey. And then Elol made 1 quadrillion shortly after he passed him. Next, around 2 months later, Gifted TY actually surpasses Elol. But then 10 days later, Gifted TY was removed because they found out that he was abusing glitches, and that puts Elol back in first place. Now, if you don't count Gifted TY passing Elol because, you know, he was hacking, Elol held the top spot for almost 9 months. But then on the 26th of September, a player named Riez finally passed Elol. And then about 3 months later, I'm actually surprised Elol let him keep the top spot this long. Elol surpassed Riez once again. Elol then makes a total of 10 quadrillion honey, which is crazy. But actually, shortly after Elol got to 10 trillion honey, I'm not even going to bother pronouncing their name, but they completely took over the top leaderboard spot with, I think, 2.5 quintillion honey, that is, which is ridiculous. But of course they were banned later for hacks. Now, of course, there are many other occurrences where there are hackers. I just wanted to point this one out just to show an example of one. Then on March 27th, 2022, Just Some Noob surpassed Elol. And of course, Elol has to take his spot back, so just 2 days later, he did. And he's actually kept it ever since, so he has kept it for almost a year now. And of course, Elol has to do this. Literally, as I'm editing this video, I'm almost done editing it. Elol has to go and hit 50 quadrillion honey. Like, dude, this is insane. So, of course that had to happen. But yeah, Elo is insane. So yeah, that was the whole journey of the entire Bee Swarm leaderboard, at least the #1 spot. So now that I'm done showing the entire history, I'm going to give a few extra facts. So yes, as I said earlier, there are many more hackers than just the one I mentioned. And interestingly enough, the hacker that I mentioned actually had all that honey for a very long time, but the leaderboard just did not show it because it did not show that many numbers. But once Anna updated it so he could show that Elo that got 10 quadrillion, he had updated it and it showed him at the top spot. And who knows, maybe whatever limit Anna is using right now, maybe there's a hacker that has even passed that limit and has a crazy amount of honey. We just haven't seen it yet. Also, here are all the notifications that popped up game-wide for the really big milestones. So I also wanted to list the top 3 daily honeymakers, and at number 3 we have Gifted TY. He made 383 trillion honey in one day, and that was on February 17, 2021. Although technically it didn't really count because he was found to be using glitches. Second place we have Elol. He made 1 quadrillion honey in a single day, and that was on February 27, 2022. And then most recently, as well as the highest, Fragile Silence made 1.78 quadrillion honey in one day, and that was on October 5th, 2022. So yeah, that was the entire history of the #1 honeymakers in Bee Swarm. I tried to put as much detail and find as many pictures as I possibly could of when people were taken over in the leaderboard, and it took me like a week to edit this video, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. This is definitely the most editing I've ever done on a video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!